Okay, so great. I think we are ready to start. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق أجمعين عليه صلى الله عليه وسلم على آله وصحبه الأطهار. Welcome everybody in this course. It's Islamic Theology 101, the what I call A, which is just the beginning and the first course in this series. We'll inshallah go through Al-Kharida al-Bahiya. I'm going to explain what this is exactly and so on. So that's going to be the subject of this course. I hope you find it beneficial, inshallah. Now, what we're going to cover today, first, some testing, which I think we've gone through that, which is great. So we can check that one off the list. Then we will go through some house rules and IT issues and just a couple of important notes to bear in mind moving forward, inshallah. So this is really an introductory lesson. We're not going to cover a lot, but we will make a start, inshallah. And we will cover the introduction. Hopefully that's the aim, is to cover the introduction of the topic or the subject we're talking about. So as I say here, just a teaser, because it's a big topic. We will not have enough time to cover it all, but just give you a flavor of what we're going to be talking about, inshallah, next time. So before we start, as I said, we will have some important notes. So just bear with me, please. It's a bit important that everybody understand this. First of all, we are, as you can see, we are using a platform called Zoho for webinar. It's first time I use it, right? I just basically decided to use it a few days ago, or a week ago or so. So we are just using it now. We're beginning with it, testing it out, which I think you can obviously see that. We may change it in the next lesson or so. We don't know if we found it to be good enough, then we will continue with it. Your input is certainly taken into consideration in this regard. And once we make a permanent decision, we will let you know whether we're going to be continuing with this platform, then basically just moving forward with the same, or otherwise we're going to send you another link to register and so on. For the next lesson, inshallah, most likely it will still be Zoho. Even if we decided to go with the other platform, it probably is going to still be Zoho for at least a couple of more lessons. So again, we are still figuring this out. So we're figuring things out together now. I'm not sure for the next lesson. It seems that I will have to create another webinar link for another webinar. And if that is the case, then I will need to send you another link for another form that you can still need to type in your first name, last name, and email, right? So sorry about that, but it seems this is going to be the case, unless I figure out how to maybe just repeat this webinar with everything that has already been, like all the previous settings. If I figure that out, then great. You can hopefully use the same link used today, but I'm not sure. So just bear with me, and just I apologize for any inconvenience and that you will have to fill the form again and again, but just bear with us until we figure these IT issues out. Also, please try to join the Telegram channel and the Facebook page if you haven't already, because sending you guys emails is going to be overwhelming, especially that people have been added like randomly. So it just makes a little bit more easier for us to like post one update on Telegram. Everybody knows it, and it's done. We don't have to go through the email and make sure that we have all the attendees and so on and so forth. If anybody has an issue with the Telegram, joining the Telegram or the Facebook page, let me know. Hopefully it's okay. I think somebody's suggesting Zoom. I'm not sure if that's the case. He's saying you can use the same link with a password. I think that works for the meetings, not the webinars. We're trying to move away from meetings, just make it webinar. As you can see now, it's just you only see me, you don't see everybody else. It's more you are more focused on the topic. I don't know, maybe you're right, maybe the webinar as well can be done in Zoom. We'll check that out and we'll update you. All right. Now, some house rules, please join on time. We cannot stress this enough. The aim is to have between 45 minutes to 1 hour. We don't want to go over 1 hour as much as we can, because it just make sure that everybody understands the topic. We don't want to just keep talking and overload you with a lot of things. And at the same time, we want to make sure that we give you enough, enough of the topic we're talking about. So between 45 to 1 hour is what we're trying to achieve. So there wouldn't really be enough time for you to miss 10 or 5 minutes of the session. Please try to join in time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes before, if you can, so that at exactly at the exact time we can just make a start. And also, please don't try to disturb us again, because of the time is limited. And we will allow some questions for sure at the end. And you can type the questions if you want in the Q&A chat. And if I notice it and I found that it's relevant to what I'm talking about, I will adopt it or answer you as I am explaining the subject. If not, then we're going to leave it for the end of the session, inshallah. Also, please try to attend the live lessons. This is going to be recorded. It's going to be posted in YouTube after editing and so on, for you to review and for everybody to watch. But just try to watch the live lesson, because what I'm trying really to do is make sure there is a personal connection with those who attend and learn, because then I can see your question, I can see how you think, what exactly causing you problem, or did you miss any concept, do you have any misunderstandings, and so on and so forth. Just watching the recording doesn't give you that, so try to attend. I think we already said that repeatedly. Attendance will be taken. Oops, hold on. I accidentally pressed a button. Okay, so attendance will be taken, as I said, and hopefully, I'm assuming that's happening automatically in this platform. So basically, I can see that when did you attend, who attended, what time they joined, what time they left, and so on. So hopefully that will be enough. If not, then sorry, there will be another form posted in Telegram that you'll have to fill within like a half an hour or so after the lesson, something like that. And also, we need to attend 80% of the course in order to be considered for a certificate. I hope that's clear. All right. Right, so your learning experience, how is going to happen? Well, the adopted methodology is gradual learning. That is the way it works. All right. If anybody is you want to learn about theology and you just went right ahead to شرح النسفية, شرح العقائد, or الاقتصاد, or المواقف, or any of those books, then I have news for you. You're not going to learn much. So it has to be gradual learning. You have to take it step by step. That is how we all learn. That is how the big institutions teach. Al-Azhari University, which I am proud to be affiliated with, and all other universities and big institutions in all the Muslim countries that go in this way. It's gradual. You take a book, for example, go about it, you learn it at a certain level. You may even go through the same book again and learn it at a deeper level, and so on. Some books are actually written in this way, and that's something that you need to bear in mind. So we'll be moving from the basics to the advanced concepts. You have to take it this way. So that's going to be the way. So I just want to ask you guys, everyone, for you to just bear this in mind, because I understand some of you has just started, others have taken some other courses before or read other books, even some read some advanced books or more advanced books than the one we are talking about in this course. So just bear in mind that you have to go gradual. We have, inshallah, weekly live lessons like this one. Excuse me, is going to be recorded for review, and as I said, it will be posted on in our YouTube channel, which I highly recommend that you join as well. I will try my best to prepare a presentation like the one I'm talking to now, but as you may appreciate, it takes a lot of time. So some lessons we may have just to blow up the book and talk about it in screen, or it's going to be just me talking, or there could be just a few sentences here or there. But I'll try my best to have something just to get your attention to. So that's the aim. How much time I have to do that is something else. There will be, inshallah, frequent quizzes, probably bi-weekly. Sometimes it could be weekly, we'll see. These are important so that we understand, you understand, or you realize, or you know whether you grasp the important concepts or not. And also I see if there are any issues with the explaining way I'm using, and maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I need to enhance something here or there to make things clear to some of you. Also, we will aim to have a Q&A at the end of the lesson, again, subject to time. But you are welcome to post any question anytime on the Telegram channel. I'll be reviewing those, and I may address them in the next lesson or when they are appropriate, because maybe your question will going to come after 2, 3, 4 lessons or something like that. We'll see. Or if there are a need for certain issue that some of you have, excuse me, we may just pause the lectures or the lessons and have a separate lesson for questions. We may do that. We'll see. I know some of you saying, is there any way we can ask questions outside of the live lessons? First of all, this is a great example why I'd like you to post your question in the Q&A, because I looked at this, I noticed it, but I knew I'm going to be talking about it later, so I delayed it or postponed it until it's relevant. So to answer you, yes, please do so. But as I said, we have a gradual learning experience. So if your question is a bit too advanced to the majority of the like the attendees, or the out of the like what this level of the course address, then it may be difficult. Again, back to my point, maybe if there are certain group, there are certain issue that really bothers them, we may have like a separate lesson for them. That's something that we can do. So you asked the question, and just let me please see how best to fit in our learning experience. Okay. So I hope I addressed this one. As I said, we have a wide range of attendees. So if you think something is really basic, just wait for what comes next. Because I assure you, even if you read other books before, even if you took other courses before, inshallah, there will be some benefits out of this course. Even if it is below your level for now, you're going to still benefit something out of it. So just bear with us. And the aim is basically to go through this course, and then we're going to go and have more in-depth courses later. So just bear with us, and inshallah you will find something that interests you at some point. If you send some, again, also on the other hand, if you think something is very difficult, don't worry, the concepts are explained over and over again, so it will click. Just bear that in mind. Know that sometimes there are some concepts are a bit difficult. The more you think about them, you will understand it, and then it just suddenly you'll find it. Oh, it clicked. Oh, now I understand it, because you gave your time, enough time to think about it, to contemplate it, to carefully consider it. So if you understand 80% of what we're talking about, that was going to be great. Even less than that, that would be good. So, but ask questions, and then if the answer doesn't really address your issue, try to think about it over the day, next day, and then let's talk about it again in the next lesson. Okay. All right. So what this course is about? Well, Islamic theology, obviously, but we're going to go about the Al-Kharida al-Bahiya book, which is actually a poem, as you'll see. And one of the great things about this poem is that it excuse me, too much talking, I guess. It can be studied at many levels. So for beginners, which is what we're doing now, and then it can also be studied for intermediate, and even after that in advanced to some extent, and in between to some levels like a lower intermediate or higher intermediate, and so on. And that is the aim. As I said, we're going to go through Al-Kharida al-Bahiya, Theology 101A, and then it's going to be Theology 101B, which is going to be now, I think, Al-Kharida al-Bahiya again. We're going to take it again, but in way more in depth, or it could be another book. We are still haven't decided. We'll see to what level we cover Al-Kharida al-Bahiya. It's actually a great book that we really need to understand fully. So after finishing this, let's say first pass, if there are still a lot of other concepts and a lot of other meat in the Al-Kharida al-Bahiya that we need to look into, then we're going to have another in-depth run at it. If not, then perhaps we can cover those in other books. We will see. So the course is designed for beginners level, as I said. Once complete, there will be a more in-depth read. As I said, I think we already said that. And after we finish with Al-Kharida, whether it's going to still be the same book we will study next level or not, we'll move to more advanced books as well, inshallah. Right. So to those of you who are in or join or on the follow me in the channel, the Telegram channel, I think you know there are other books that, other courses and books that we're going to be studying. So we have Al-Hadith series, and I'm starting with the 40 Hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. Registration for this course is started already. So I invite you, please, to, if you are interested, to go on and join this. There is no reason in my mind why no one wouldn't like to join this, because at the end of it, inshallah, you're going to have a certificate of completion again, and that would include an isnad in hadith to Imam al-Nawawi, and Imam al-Nawawi has a continuous uninterrupted chain of narration to the Prophet. So basically you will just add your name to the chain of narrators to the Prophet. So that's a great bless that I think everybody should be interested in. And after we finish the hadith, inshallah, there are going to be other, or after we finish with the 40 hadith of Imam Nawawi, the concept, or my the way I look at this course for now is basically that we're going to read the hadith, give like a very important explanation, just a very brief one, and move to the next, and so on. So I envisage it's going to take 3 to 4 lessons, something like that. I don't want to like prolong it too much. It's not going to be in-depth elaboration on the explanation of each hadith. But after that, we're going to take Riyadh al-Salihin, and maybe at that time we take more in-depth hadith, and then we'll go to a summary of al-Bukhari and etc. We'll see how much time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us in these series. In theology, as I said, after we finish with with the Al-Kharida al-Bahiya, we'll go through al-Jawhara, al-Nasafiyya, al-Iqtisad, and etc. until we, again, if there are some books you recommend, feel free to let us know, and we'll consider those at the right level. In Tajweed and Qira'at, inshallah, we're going to start Tajweed series as well. We'll start with Tuhfat al-Atfal. Registration for this course has not yet opened. Inshallah, it will open after I have more time on my hand. Hopefully, that will happen in the new year, sometime in the new year, inshallah. But just keep following us, inshallah, and you will know when it is open for registration. After it, it's going to go through the Al-Muqaddimah al-Jazariyya, and then Shatibiyya, Tayyiba, and to whatever extent you guys want, we can go, inshallah. There is also Quran recitation and memorization, and I'm just looking at the time. All right. So in Quran, in this series, basically, we will have. I have to confess, I will not have enough time to take many of you here, because basically, especially the Qur'an series and the Quran, basically reading, you will have to have a one session with me reading Quran if you memorize the Quran. So I'm going to open it only for limited people, those who memorize Quran or close to finishing memorization, who already mastered a qira'ah. And then if you want to have isnad to the Prophet, so ijaza and isnad, then they will qualify to read or present their qira'ah with me. And at the end of finishing the entire Quran, then I'll give them ijaza with a very high isnad, alhamdulillah. So it's not going to be open for everybody, but if you think you qualify or will be qualified, welcome. I will certainly consider you, or if you know somebody that might be interested, and so on. Right, and after that, also some other topics we need to, or try to cover or have some courses for is Arabic for Quran, Usul Fiqh, Tafsir, and more. So as you can see, it's a long way ahead, no time to waste, and really the human being is we are all but time. We are nothing but time. We are just time. So my advice to you, be careful what you spend your time on, and every second of your life is basically your true wealth. That is our wealth. It is our life, not the money we have in our pocket. All right. Right, so let's start with our course. And the first thing we will cover, inshallah, is who is Imam al-Dardir. Now, I posted like long time ago, I think, like the bio of Imam al-Dardir on the Telegram channel. I hope that everybody read it. This is just a summary of it. And we will go through it. Even if you read it, let's just go through it, because we are going to talk about his book, and we have to talk about the Imam, the great Imam that authored this book and passed on this knowledge to us. So his name is Abu al-Barakat. That's a laqab, or sorry, it's a kunya. Abu al-Barakat Ahmad ibn Muhammad al-Adawi. So he's from Qabilat Bani Adi. So that's like a lineage to Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anh. At his time, he was Sheikh of al-Azhar and Grand Mufti of Egypt. At that time, there was no like official Sheikh al-Azhar, but he was a Sheikh of al-Azhar. So he was basically the Imam of al-Azhar. So after that, it became like an official title. So at his time, it was just he's the main Sheikh of al-Azhar, and therefore he was Sheikh al-Azhar. Just a history bit. He is one of the mujaddideen in his century. You know the hadith, at every 100 years, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala send a mujaddid, a great scholar. So he was, let's say, nominated or called by many scholars of his and many peers of his time, and after that, as one of those mujaddideen of his century. He was also called Malik Jr., Malik al-Saghir, because people or that his peers saw in him that he mastered the Imam Malik madhab. He was Maliki, and that he like resembled Imam Malik in his thinking and in his methodology and so on. But that doesn't mean that he didn't or wasn't aware of the other madhabs. He is actually he has also perfected his knowledge of the four madhabs as well, but he chose to be mujaddid or to be mujtahid in al-Maliki madhab. He is the author of many well-known books. One of them, or a couple of them, are أقرب المسالك إلى مذهب الإمام مالك and شرح مختصر خليل. So these basically resembles the authorized fatwa. So his books are the authorized fatwa in Imam Malik madhab at this, like for this age, for this era. The let's say the more contemporaneous or modern scholars rely on his books to get the al-muftabi, what is a fatwa according to Imam Malik. So his books are being studied everywhere, and like they are the textbook for Imam Malik, or some of the textbook of Imam Malik. Also, a fun fact, his fiqh books is the source of the French civil law. When the French army like came to Egypt, Napoleon was very impressed with the Imam Maliki madhab, the Maliki madhab, and the books that Imam al-Dardir authored. So he just tried to do something similar. So basically, he based the civil law that he done based on that. And for sure, I think this doesn't need to be repeated. He's the author of Al-Kharida al-Bahiya, which is the poem, the subject of this course. And that poem, he summarized Aqidat Ahlul-Sunna wal Jama'ah. It is a very blessed work, and since he wrote it, it's actually what he's been, or what is being taught in al-Azhar al-Sharif, and al-Azhar, like basically the Al-Kharida al-Bahiya is what I studied in grade 6, I think, or grade 7, something like that, grade 6, 7, something like that, right? So it's being studied, but also it's being studied in a more depth at like a later stages. And that, I think, yeah, still have a little bit more. His name al-Dardir, he was called al-Dardir because an Arabic word is reference to an Arabic word, min darra, ad-darra wa darra. It's basically meaning abundant and plentiful, because he was blessed man at that time, which also is the reason why he was called Abu al-Barakat. Al-Barakat, the blessings. So he is basically the owner of blessings, or father of blessings. So he was like people used to resort to him and go to him to seek his prayer for them, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted their prayer, or his prayer, so that they found their precious item that they lost. And that like happened repeatedly. He was also known for reading Quran to make the little food abundant, like a lot. So he will have a lot of him and just little food. He will read Quran, ask Allah for bless, and everybody who attended with him will eat that from that food, and everybody will be full and satisfied. And many others. So he's a blessed man. رضي الله عنه وأرضاه ونفعنا بعلومه في الدارين آمين يا رب. Now, I'm not gonna, after Imam al-Dardir, I cannot talk about myself. I really have no position or no place to talk about myself. But I understand some of you would like to know more about who the man that they are listening to. So if you want to know more about me, you'll find this bio in the or this summary brief bio of me in the on my webpage in the Facebook. Go there, read it, and satisfy yourself if you want. But I'm not really going to bore you with talking about myself. Right, so this is our my Facebook page, the Telegram, the YouTube channel. Right, so let's go to the introduction and the poem start, right? So why is this poem important? Al-Kharida al-Bahiya, why it is important? Well, first of all, the author is highly regarded as a great scholar. He's one of the greatest scholars of our like modern times, and by modern I mean like after the 10th century Hijri. And not only that, he's actually one of the great scholars, like considering everything, like backward, like from the all the scholars we have in our tradition. Imam al-Dardir is just one of the very highly regarded one. He taught Aqidah in al-Azhar at his time. He fully understood the other books, the more traditional and the older books. He put his fingers on the gaps of the students' understanding and what caused their problems. So he wrote this poem to address that, to tell you what exactly you need to know, but in a way that addressed those gaps that he noticed with the students that he taught. That's why this poem is like, you have to learn it. You have to fully understand it. Without learning it properly, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to move to other more advanced books. The poem, which is called Al-Kharida al-Bahiya, one of the good points about it as well is that Imam al-Dardir explained his poem. So he didn't just write the poem, which is a very, very brief words, and left it for everybody else or anybody else to interpret it as they see. No, he actually explained it. We should also be going through his explanation as we're going through, so that's going to be embedded in what we're going to be talking about. But that also gives the poem like a highly regarded like level, because it's also explained by the author. So he explains what he knows, what he means in the poem, because writing poems can be very tricky. Sometimes we don't use the exact word that describes what you want to say and give you the meaning, because you are governed by the rhythm of the poem, right? So that is something that you need to be careful of. The fact that he explained what he meant gives you a more accurate understanding of exactly what he meant. Also, as Aqidah generally, it is crucial, especially nowadays, to learn Aqidah. Unfortunately, a lot of students, a lot of talabat ilm don't appreciate the importance and the status of Aqidah and why they should learn it, and they just move past it and say, okay, I know my Aqidah, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. I study Hadith, I study Quran, and the Quran have the Aqidah ayat. The Hadith has Hadith about Aqidah. So I learn as go. I don't need to learn Aqidah. This cannot be further from the truth. This is incorrect. You have to learn Aqidah. Also, the challenges in these days, we have like two major groups: people, those who are challenging the deen, the religion, and challenging Islam generally, right? Like secularism and so on. So you need to understand those guys, how they think, and need to address them and answer them, at least in your mind, have your own rebut of their claims, so that you continue to have a strong aqidah and strong belief, and pass that on to your kids, to your community, to your friends, and so on. But also, on the other hand, there are a lot of Muslims, a lot of other groups of Muslims who claim to present Ahlul-Sunna and Aqidah in their way, but it's actually twisted and it's not. So they have the label, but they don't have the substance. This is very important, therefore, to really understand this book and understand the true Aqidah, the true Aqidah of Ahl-Sunnah al-Jama'ah, through how how they see how they think and understand that, so that you can judge and you can make a learned decision about what you hear from what I call imposters. So let's start with the poem then. The poem starts with saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, or before starting the poem, the Imam al-Dardir saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Everybody knows the Basmala. Now, explanation of the Basmala, we could take 5-6 lessons explaining the Basmala. And that's something is really very intriguing. And maybe we do that in like a lot more advanced books. But for the purpose of this course as a beginner's level, and really want to get through the major concepts of Aqidah, we will just pass through it. We'll just say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim to bless our work and bless our time and our like effort in this course, because of the hadith Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, everything that start without Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and without Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen is unblessed. So that's why our scholars traditionally will start their books with Basmala, with Hamdallah, with an introduction that praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and saying Salawat ala Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam and so on. All right, so then we start with what the Imam Dardir said. He said, let me read it in the way that we read it. Some of you might find it funny, but it's the way that you memorize it and the way that like you enjoy reading it. يقول راجي رحمة القدير أي أحمد المشهور بالدردير الحمد لله العلي الواحد العالم الفرد الغني الماجد وأفضل الصلاة والتسليم على النبي المصطفى الكريم وآله وصحبه الأطهار لا سيما رفيقه في الغار. So this is like the rhythmic way of reading the poem, of that poem. There are certainly other ways for sure, but that's one of them. And you know, I appreciate some of you would be able to do that, some won't. So it's something at least you know about it, and maybe you try it. We'll see if it works for you. I'd like to give a little bit of Arabic. It's not going to be an Arabic lesson for sure, but for those of you who can read Arabic to some extent but may need extra help to understand it, this might be helpful. For those of you who don't read Arabic, again, this may like motivate you to try and get to that. And it's really, really important. You really, in my mind, my advice to everybody is to try and learn Arabic as much as you can, even the basics, letters, whatever, to the extent possible. If you can read the Quran but you don't understand it, then try to understand it. If you can't read it at all, try to read it, and so on. So we will just take the first line here, يقول راجي رحمة القدير, that one, and we'll just go through every word and see what does it mean. يقول is basically the present verb of the verb, the present tense of the verb قال. قال means said in past. قال is a past, said. يقول is saying, right? So basically he's saying, I say. يقول راجي رحمة القدير. Raji is what is called active participle, like what we call also a doer verb, doer of the verb, so of a verb. So فاعل, right? كاتب, قارئ, all these forms are forms that refer to the doer of the verb. Okay, so يقول راجي. راجي from the verb raja. Raja means hoped, he hoped for, so he is hoping. So he's basically saying, I say while I'm hoping for. Rahma. Rahma means mercy, is a noun. I think this is clear enough. Rahmata. Al-Qadiri. Al-Qadiri. Qadir is a noun for, it means all powerful, almighty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of his 99 names, or it's actually more than 99, but that's another topic. Ay. Ay is a Arabic word, means namely, or abbreviated as IE, right? So he's saying, يقول راجي رحمة القدير. Who is this? Namely, i.e. Ahmad, which is his name, my name, me, right? But he says his name, right? أي أحمد, which is the name of the author, Sayyidina Ahmad al-Dardir. Al-Mashhur. Mashhur, the literal meaning means famous. Mashhur is a noun, means famous. But it's used here more to mean known by. Famous by name of al-Dardir. Known by al-Dardiri. So it was like a name that, or a nickname that is basically he was known by. So يقول راجي رحمة القدير أي أحمد المشهور بالدردير. Okay. So this section of the poem is basically just the introduction. There is nothing there to explain other than just go through the meaning in English and just translate it to some extent, which we're going to go through and do. But there is no really explanation unless we go through it in more like i'rab and grammar and so on and so forth, which is actually done in the books when they are talking about like the explanation of this. But again, for the purpose of our course here, this is not really needed. I think we went through that. Alhamdulillah al-Ali al-Wahidi al-Alim al-Fardi al-Ghani al-Majidi. He basically just praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with some of the names that he picked: the exalted, the one, the ominous, the single, the independent, the majestic. All just praises Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with many of his names. Now there are reasons why he chose those names, and they are relevant to what he's going to talk about, which is what we call bara'atul istihlal. It's perfection in starting, because he starts as an introduction. He hasn't really talked about what he's going to talk about yet, but his introduction embedded or points to what he's going to be talking about. وأفضل الصلاة والتسليم على النبي المصطفى الكريم. And may his utmost, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, utmost peace and blessing be upon the chosen prophet, the noble one, alayhi salatu wasalam. وآله وصحبه الأطهار لا سيما رفيقه في الغار. And upon his al. Al is the word in Arabic means family and followers, not just family, not ahl. Al is more general, so it means followers as well, and those who support his purpose and so on. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يجعلنا from al nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. Ameen. And his virtuous companions, صحبه الأطهار, especially لا سيما, especially his companion, the companion in the cave, who is Abu Bakr radiallahu anh. And this is a nice nice point or indicator to Aqidat Ahl-Sunnah, right? Because as Ahl-Sunnah, we believe that the Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu ardah is most worthy of al-Khilafah, and he is the best of his companions, and so on. Because of that, he's basically by signaling out Abu Bakr radiallahu anh in this line here, he points to this aqidah. See how the poem is full of secrets, full of knowledge, if you really think about it and contemplate it. So it is not just a words, rhymed words just to make you, shake your head. It's really, it carries a lot of meaning. Then he says, سميتها الخريدة البهية وهذه عقيدة سنية لكنها كبيرة في العلم لطيفة صغيرة في الحجم لأنها بزبدة الفن تفي تكفيك علما إن تريد أن تكتفي النفع منها ثم غفر الزلال والله أرجو في قبول العمل. So again, let's just take this, some of this. So سميتها الخريدة البهية. He basically called it al-Kharida al-Bahiya. Al-Kharida means the untouched or the virgin pearl, the pearl that has not yet been made a hole in it to be like in a necklace or anything like that. It's as you find it in nature. It's beautiful. It's shining beauty. Al-Bahiya meaning shining beauty and beauty that has light emitting out of it. وهذه عقيدة سنية. عقيدة means creed or theology and treatise on عقيدة. سنية means it's like it comes with light, as I said. لطيفة صغيرة. I think it's other way around. لطيفة صغيرة في الحجم لكنها كبيرة في العلم. This line here is actually being got and even that one. وهذه عقيدة سنية سميتها الخريدة البهية. Not the other way around. It's anyway. لطيفة صغيرة في الحجم لكنها كبيرة في العلم. So he's saying it's a pleasant, it's a small in size. So he's motivating people to read it and go through it. And that gives you like he is a great scholar, but he just doesn't say, okay, I don't care who reads it. He would like, he tries really to benefit the Ummah. So he's trying to motivate you to read it. Don't be worried about it. It's not difficult. Come and roll up your sleeves and dig into it. It's nice. It's small, but in the same way, it's great knowledge, right? That's why he said, لكنها كبيرة في العلم. I'm saying it's a small in size doesn't mean it's just a very brief or not doesn't cover important concept. No, it's a great in knowledge. It's going to give you great knowledge. تكفيك علما إن تريد أن تكتفي لأنها بزبدة الفن تفي. Again, this is actually the line is got the other way around. Start from here and go here. Means it holds sufficient knowledge if you seek to be sufficient with this knowledge, and as it includes the substance and the essence of the subject. إنها بزبدة الفن تفي. والله أرجو في قبول العمل والدفع منها ثم غفر الزلال. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for acceptance of this work and to benefit others, and for Allah to make it beneficial and to forgive my shortcomings. Right. So that's basically the introduction section of the poem, and also the introduction of the course. So we start with the introduction of the course, and this is the introduction of the poem. And then we start with the meat. What a great start. The poem starts with the rules of rational judgment. This is one of the most important principles that we need to learn. Basically, we finished, but do you want to stop now, or do you have like another 10 to 15 minutes? Okay, nobody answers, but let's continue then. Just let's open that topic, and then we'll cover it in more detail next time, inshallah. So he starts with saying that أقسام حكم العقل لا محالة هي الوجوب ثم الاستحالة ثم الجواز ثالث الأقسام فافهم منحت لذة الأفهام. The categories of rational judgment, there are, in order for you to understand, to have a rational judgment, you need to understand that there are three categories of issues that you'll be looking at. And those issues can be put in certain buckets, in categories. Those categories are necessity, impossibility, and certainty. You need really to understand that, or if you understand that, you really you have been granted the gift of proper understanding. And let's just go through that in a little bit more detail. So we said the rational judgment, it could be either necessity, impossibility, or possibility. These are the three things. There are no others. You cannot think of any other issue where you cannot put it in either necessity, impossibility, possibility. You have to put it somewhere out of these or in these three buckets. The necessity is something that mind cannot imagine its non-existence, right? So it's something that is necessary. Your mind cannot comprehend what you are seeing without necessitating it. So that's the first category. There are other issues which your mind cannot imagine they are actually exist. So that's an impossible thing. If you think about something and your mind rejects it, then this thing is impossible. And then there are things that your mind can imagine its existence or non-existence. If your mind basically can attribute either one of these to it, then that thing is possible. It's possible to exist, it's possible to not exist. I'm going to just give one example of something impossible, and then we'll go through that in more detail next time, inshallah. Just to clarify what we mean by impossible. I think we are done here. So yeah, just to explain what we mean by impossible. If I say I can fly, is it something impossible or not? Okay, everybody. Some saying possible, some okay. It's actually my question wasn't actually proper. I didn't put the right form into it, because if you think from mind, from judgment, rational judgment, it's possible. I could fly, because your mind can imagine it. You can see a sci-fi movie and the actor is flying, Superman or wherever, and you understand. Your mind actually comprehend what you're seeing. Yeah, this is man flying. You understand this is basically a nonsense. It's impossible in given the physics rules or the ada, the custom that we and this life that we live in. But if things change, that might happen. It's something that your mind can comprehend. So from a rational judgment point of view, it's possible, not impossible. But if I tell you, for example, that I could be short and long at the exact same time, is that possible? Exactly, that's impossible. Why is it impossible? Because your mind cannot comprehend it. How does that work? It doesn't. How can I be short and long at the same time? It can be. Do you see a tall person and a short person at the same time? If I came to you and said, I saw whoever, and he was short and tall at the same time, that doesn't make sense unless you reinterpret it to something else. Maybe I'm saying he's not too tall, he's not too short. Maybe from that sense, from a linguistic point of view, you can do some linguistic work with it to understand it. But as is, it's impossible from a rational judgment point of view. Right, so that's what we have for today. I hope it's clear. Don't worry if you didn't really grasp this. We're gonna start it over and go through it in more detail and talk about it in more detail next time, inshallah. Now I'm opening the floor for questions.